Greetings fellow Decepticons, Soundblaster1987 here with my first ever Kamen Rider review. From a Souchaku Henshin buildable figure line we have Kamen Rider Gatack, Kamen Rider TheBee and Kamen Rider Sasword from Kamen Rider Kabuto. Putting Sasword and TheBee off to one side for a moment. Gatack here is the primary main companion, the secondary rider of the Kabuto series. You'll have to excuse mine, he's missing a helmet horn at the moment. The Kabuto rider Souchaku Henshin figures have two actual figures and swappable armor parts. The static figure that has limited articulation I'm using for the armoured form, and the more articulated one for the cast-off form, which I'll show momentarily. The static figure has up and down shoulders, a wrist swivel, opening fingers, and ankle swivels, and nothing else. Technically the head can move a little bit as well, but that's only because the helmet splits in half. And also the guns on the shoulders can be repositioned to your liking as well. I'll show off articulation better in the cast-off figure, since that's on the posable base figure. So for size comparison, here we have Gatack, TheBee and Sasword in their armoured forms. And here we have Kamen Rider TheBee in his armoured form. Now, Kamen Rider TheBee is the leader of the Shadow Zek Trooper division from the Kamen Rider Kabuto series, and darker anti-hero type of sort of black ops group that gets the messier jobs done. As you can see, his chestplate and helmet visor have a honeycomb motif because of his bee/wasp aesthetic. Beautiful Bandai gold and silver on this design. Definitely one of my favourite designs of Kamen Rider of all time. And finally, here we have Kamen Rider Sasword in his weird mix-up of black, silver, purple, orange and dark crimson. The sword piece here can actually be removed and attached to the cast-off rider, which I'll be showing off momentarily. As you can see, Sasword here is based on the scorpion, specifically the Indian flat rock scorpion, with the scorpion tail ponytail design on the helmet here. And that basically wraps up my thoughts on the armoured figures, so cast off. And here we have Sasword, TheBee and Gatack in their primary, more mobile fighting forms. As you can see, they all have their accessories. Sasword's Ector sword, TheBee's Ector stinger, and Gatack's swords. These I'll cover in a moment. So, moving TheBee and Gatack off to one side. We'll focus on Kamen Rider Sasword for the time being. For a direct comparison, here he is with his masked form. As I've said before, the armour can be swapped and removed and taken off from one to the other, but I'm not going to show that for simplicity's sake in this review. You'll have to watch another review to see it properly. So, the cast-off forms are currently attached to a more mobile figure from this line, so you've got a bit of head movement, not too much though, the helmet will come off. You've got multiple directional shoulders, somewhat inhibited by the kibble. Whoops. Being die-cast attached to plastic, the armour parts don't tend to stay on very well sometimes. Then you've also got a bicep swivel, double-jointed elbow, wrist swivel, opening fingers for holding the accessories. The hands can also be swapped so as to have the right back of the hand details on either the armoured or cast-off forms, depending on which figure you've got each armour set on. Then you've got a slight waist wiggle here, ball-jointed multi-directional hips, somewhat hindered by the die cast, double knees, and a ball jointed ankle for multi-directional posing movement. The piece that fell off of Sasword just now is the belt clip, which can be swapped from armoured to cast off form. So to remove the sword, just unclip the scorpion tail, rotate and pull out. Then reattach to the belt. Sasword and TheBee don't use their belts to transform like Gatack and Kabuto do. Instead they use their weapons to transform. So, here we have the Sasword Zactor, almost completely painted aside from the orange on the silver bits of the blade here. And the scorpion part can be removed as well. The scorpion part has a moving tail because of the accurate features it does for the show. So this is what the sword looks like without the scorpion attached. This groove and this tab together attach like so to Henshin into armoured form. Then attach the tail of the scorpion onto this hole here to cast off. Then disconnect and reconnect the scorpion tail 3 times for the final attack. 1, 2, 3. Rider slash. Then Kamen Rider Sasword will cut through the enemy, leaving a trail of purple blood on the end of his sword afterwards. Because of the way that the hands are structured, it's not easy for him to hold his sword, but he can still hold it. Just about. Moving on, here we have Kamen Rider TheBee, one of my personal favourites from the entire franchise of Kamen Rider, let alone the Kabuto series. As you can see, he has a bit of a wasp aesthetic in this mode, as opposed to the more bean-like aesthetic in his masked form. Here it is for comparison. Articulation is the same in this figure because they all share the same base body type, but of course, obviously the kibble is different, so some parts restrictions may take place here. TheBee's main attack is the Rider Sting, which means that he stabs the tail end of his wrist-mounted Henshin device into the enemy with a superpowered punch attack. And finally, Kamen Rider Gatack. The swords can be removed from his shoulder panels, like so. You'll have to forgive my copy of Gatack, he's got very loose ankles as well as parts falling off him. The swords can actually be combined like so to form hedge clippers for his final attack, Rider Cutting. It's not easy to configure his articulation into a way that you can actually use that, but it is possible. Just put these back on here. And for a quick comparison, here he is with his masked form. Apologies again for the missing helmet piece on here. Just a quick 360 view. And that concludes my Souchaku Henshin Kamen Rider Kabuto review. Join me next time when I continue my Kamen Rider reviews with SH Figure Arts Bravo Durian Arms from Kamen Rider Gaim. Until then,